How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel where we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. My name is Miles Gutierrez. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be talking about every parent's worst nightmare in the 2013 film Prisoners, which stars Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, Viola Davis, Melissa Leo, Maria Bello, Terrence Howard, and Paul Dano, and tells the story of Keller Dover, who is facing every parent's worst nightmare when his 6-year-old daughter Anna is missing together with her young friend Joy, and as minutes turn to hours, panic sets in. The only lead that they have is an RV that was parked earlier on their street. Heading the investigation is Detective Loki, who arrests its driver Alex Jones, but a lack of evidence forces his release as the police pursue multiple leads and pressure mounts. Knowing his child's life is at stake, the frantic Dover decides he has no choice but to take matters into his own hands. Now, this movie came out around a time where I was trying to figure out what kind of movies I was into because around that time I was just set into one box. There was a list of films that I really was interested in, and this was one of those movies that I knew was happening, but at the same time, I really didn't have any interest in this movie. I just saw it one night right before it left theaters, and really one of my biggest concerns for this movie was its runtime. The film clocks in at about 2 hours and 33 minutes, and as somebody that doesn't really like long movies, you really have to capture my attention from beginning to end in order to justify that runtime. And for me, this movie definitely justifies its runtime because this movie is so fast paced that you're invested in every single moment. This movie is directed by Denis Villeneuve, and this is really the introduction for a lot of people. This is the movie that really set the pace for what this director was going to be doing moving forward. And I have really enjoyed a lot of his movies that he has directed ever since Prisoners. This is a movie that if you have kids, even if you don't have kids, you can see the tension in here. And it's definitely one of those movies that you really have to be in a depressed type of mood to watch this movie. Because from the beginning of this film to the end of this film, you are in a state of panic, even when the things haven't happened just yet. You're getting to know these characters, you're getting to know their relationship with their friends, and seeing how their family dynamics are. You still feel like you're at the edge of your seat even from when the movie begins because just the way this movie was shot. The teamwork between Denis Villeneuve and Roger Deakins really set the tone for what this movie is. Every single shot in this movie is beautiful. It's also very critical because there are a lot of things happening in here. And just the way this movie was shot, the way it was directed, it was utter perfection. And this is my favorite Hugh Jackman performance because I feel like even though he played Wolverine, they never really let him go full Wolverine up until Logan in 2017, and this is before Logan. So you kind of felt like he was building up all that rage and getting us ready for that kind of performance, and just the way that this character is really constructed. Because you feel where he is coming from, you feel his desperation in trying to find his daughter. I don't have any kids. I don't plan on having any kids, but if you are a parent, then there is a sense of hopelessness when your kids go missing and you don't know where they are. They could be missing in a grocery store, they can be missing at the park, and you don't really know where they are or where they could be. So you're really sent into that panic mode. But what Taylor Dover does in this movie is take it a little bit too far because he really believes that this character played by Paul Dano is the one that took his daughter just because of a thing that happened at the police station when he was being released, and that is what really sent him into this whole madness, into trying to find his daughter, trying to do every single possible thing that he is able to do in order to bring his daughter and his friend's daughter back home because the police, one of which is played by Jake Gyllenhaal, who is really leading this investigation. There is no bright light at the end of the tunnel with any information that they're getting or they're collecting. And so you are all in a state of panic. And just the way that this movie really puts you at the edge of your seat. I have really never closed my eyes in any movie, especially in horror movies, because there are a lot of things that I am able to withstand. When we get to the bathroom scene between Paul Dano, Hugh Jackman, and Terrence Howard, and you have Hugh Jackman just beating the living life out of Paul Dano's character, and he's about ready to smash his hand with the hammer. At that point in time, I was closing my eyes because I didn't watch, and as soon as you hear the hammer hitting the sink, that is when I jumped. That is my favorite moment in any movie ever it still gets me to this point, even though I don't close my eyes because I already know what's coming. Watching it for the first time since 2013, it is definitely a movie that has a impact on you, especially if you don't have kids. If you have siblings and you're afraid that one day your siblings could go missing, this is going to be a hard to watch movie because there are so many tense moments in here. It really is a character story, and I really love all the symbolism in here, the way the story was being told, and just the way that we were focused on every single character. Every single character, whether they were big or small, they all had a very important role to play. And I love that the title of this movie isn't really reflective on the girls that went missing. It's really more reflective on everybody else. Every character in this movie is a prisoner in their own state of mind. And I love that in some ways the title of this movie could be a little bit misleading if you're not really deep diving into this movie. What makes this movie great is the tension filled moments where you're always at the edge of your seat. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if these kids are alive or they're dead, and you don't know what the outcome is going to be. And just the last 5 minutes of this movie is just absolutely fantastic. I know a lot of people have said that the ending of this movie is ambiguous. If you pay close attention to this movie and you really get to know Jake Gyllenhaal's character, then you know the outcome of the ending. And I think there was a deleted scene where they actually revealed that yes, he was found and he was arrested, but I might be wrong about that. I remember when this movie first came out, and I thought that this was the best that Hugh Jackman has ever been in, and this is the best that Jake Gyllenhaal was in. And I was really shocked and surprised when they didn't get any Oscar nominations. And then you see the rundown of the people that were nominated that year, and then I understood why they weren't nominated because it was a stacked year at the Oscar. But the performances in here are absolutely top notch. This film is beautifully written. The score by the late Johan Johansson, who is one of my favorite composers. I love his scores. I love the score for this movie, and even the score at times feel like a character unto itself. That is what makes this movie complete. It's the first time that I've seen it since 2013, and to this day, I still think that overall, Prisoners is a 10 out of 10 for me. It is just an absolutely beautiful movie that is beautifully told. There are a lot of moments in here where you're just at the edge of your seat. I know a lot of people did see the ending coming. I did not see the ending coming, so that was really shocking and surprising to me. But I absolutely love this movie. I think this is the best Denis Villeneuve film that he has put out so far. I'm really excited to see what he's going to be doing with Dune Part 2. I know there is a lot of great word of mouth around that movie, so I'm really excited to check it out. But those are my thoughts on Prisoners. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Is it overrated or do you think it's an underrated film? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys for the next video.